Most companies don't have a revenue problem. They have a structural integrity problem. I'm David Figueroa, president of Primetime Systems. This is the Revenue Integrity Gap, where executive leaders get honest about what's actually breaking underneath the growth. Let's get into it. Here's a question that almost no executive really can answer, truthfully. Who in your organization is actually tracking behavior? Not pipeline, not activity counts, not dashboard metrics, behavior. You see, the choices a seller makes in a moment a deal turns south, the instincts a CSM follows when the customer goes quieter, they ghost them, or a decision a rep makes about which call to make next. Who is asking about that? For a long time, the answer to that question was easy: a great manager, on a great day, with enough time to notice. Today, the answer is something completely different, and almost no one has thought about what that means. Technology is tracking behavior now. It's not just always tracking the right things, and it's quietly shaping the people that it's measuring. Let me lay out three things that oftentimes get confused: activity, outcomes, and behavior. They're not the same thing. To define this, activity is what tools have always measured: calls made, emails sent, meetings booked, quotes sent, steps taken in a sequence. Activity is super easy to count, which is why we've been counting it for years, over 30. Outcomes are what the dashboards show: the deals closed, the revenue won, the close rate, the customers retained, your attrition rate, the quota. How far are we? How close are we? Outcomes are easy to report on, which is why every QBR is, quite frankly, built around them. Now, behavior is a thing in between, and it has been almost completely invisible. Behavior is the choice a seller makes when a deal stalls. Who do they push? How do they push? Do they go around the stakeholder? Do they create other stakeholders? Do they bring in their executive sponsor, their manager? Or do they simply walk away? Behavior is the judgment a CSM exercises when a customer goes quiet. Do they assume things are fine? Do they escalate? Do they call, again, the executive sponsor? Behavior is the instinct a rep follows about which deal to work on today and which deal to let breathe. Now, these are the things that actually drive revenue. And until recently, the only person watching them was a manager who had to be in the right place at the right time, which is why the answer to how do we coach the behaviors of our best people across the organization has been the same for decades. The answer: you can't, really. You could hire well, you know what good looks like, and you can cross your fingers that you hired the right talent. But in truth, behavior will come through. Something changed in the last 18 months that many people aren't really talking about in plain language. Technology is now tracking behavior in real time. Every keystroke, every call, every email draft, every CRM update. And not really as surveillance, but more as a workflow. The AI on your seller's laptop sees the questions they asked, the objections they got, the pause they got before the answer. And then, and this part matters, it recommends the next move. Perhaps even it writes the follow-up email, suggests a discount. It drafts the talk track for the next call. Technology is used to track what your people did. Now it's shaping who they become. Now think about that for a second. The first time a rep takes an AI suggestion, it's a small choice. The 100th time, it's a habit. The 1,000th time, it's no longer their behavior. It's the tool's behavior expressed through a human. And here's the question that the executive team really has to be honest about. Did you choose those behaviors? In fact, did anyone? Or did a model that's been trained on data that your organization didn't really curate, you really didn't optimize it for the outcomes that your organization defined, start shaping the revenue engine while everyone is busy chasing the QBR? Now, this isn't a paranoid take. It's really a governance question. Because if your tools are now shaping the behaviors that drive your commercial engine, which they are, then the question of which behaviors they're reinforcing suddenly becomes more of an important question for the entire commercial organization. And this is something that almost no one is asking about. So here's what this looks like in practice. Two companies, same industry, same product, same number of sellers. Company A, they measure activity and outcomes. They have a dashboard, huge BI metrics, powered by analytics for days. They have a forecast. Now the forecast misses, but they always have a narrative or an explanation as to why. Company B, they measure activity, outcomes, and behavior. They can tell you not just what closed, but what the rep did that caused it to close. Which discovery questions led to higher win rates? Which moments in a deal predicated slippage 3 weeks before it showed up in the pipeline number? More importantly, which behaviors your top performers shared that their average performers didn't? Company B has something Company A doesn't. They have causality, not correlation, not patterns on a dashboard. Causality. The ability to say when this behavior happens, this outcome follows. And once you have causality, 3 things change. 1, your forecast gets sharper. The predictability becomes more constant because you're weighing deals by the behaviors inside of them, not just the stage they're sitting in. 2, your coaching gets surgical. You're not just telling reps do more discovery, send more quotes, have more calls. You're telling them to be specific with their behavior in the specific moment that the data says that will move their win rate. 3, your talent strategy transforms. You're not just retaining your best people. You're scaling what makes them best across the rest of the organization. And that is the gap between a company that measures behavior and a company that doesn't. It's not a feature gap. It's an enterprise value gap. A forecast built on activity tells you what happened. A forecast built on behavior tells you what is about to happen. If you're a leader listening to this, here's the question to ask your RevOps team this week. And I don't like to use the term RevOps too often. I like to say commercial team. Show me the behaviors we're measuring, not the activities, not the outcomes, the behaviors. If they can't answer, and I'll tell you that most of them probably can't with a sharp knife, you have found your gap. And that gap is what your top performers fill instinctively and what your average performers don't even know to ask about. Closing that gap in the next 12 months of work is real work for any serious revenue organization. The next episode of The Last of the Preludes is about the moment a board member, an investor, or a chairman sends you an email. We need to be using AI. And the executive on the other end has to decide, and very quickly, whether to obey, push back, or do the harder thing. Thanks for tuning in to the Revenue Integrity Gap. If this hits home, share it with one executive in your network who needs to hear it. That's how this show grows. This episode is brought to you by Prime Time Systems, where we help revenue organizations close the gap between growth and governed execution. Find out more at prime-timesystems.com. I'm David Figueroa, and I'll see you next time.